Hey, I'll do, and welcome to our third installment today of Loose Lips and Ben Random. And if you're new to this, what it is, Loose Lips is a chat show celebrating everything that is good vibes. It's a good vibes only chat show. So if you're wanting to get stuck into our back catalogue, what you need to do is go onto YouTube and put in Pop Cult Chic. If you go on there and you can find all our previous chats. We're about to be chatting with a gent called Luke. He's in the group. That rhymed. Luke's in the group, yeah? So let's link and see what we've got to chat about. Yes, lad, how are you?
I'm there, mate. I'm good, mate. Are you?
Yeah, quality, quality. You got a good bit of knitwear there.
Sorry, mate. I think my connection's
Can you
gone
hear
a
me,
bit.
brother?
One sec, sorry.
No problemo. Let's wait for his connection to come back. Then we'll compliment him on his knitwear. Also, anyone who's joining the group, thank you firstly. And if you've got any questions throughout, feel free to put them in the comments. And if we're able to put them into the chat, I'll happily do so. How are you doing now, brother? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clear and well, mate. All good.
Good
Sorry
man,
about
good
that.
man. No, it's all good. I was just complimenting you on your knitwear.
Oh, mate, I haven't stepped out of this since lockdown, so I have watched it a couple of times, though.
How have you been finding it?
First 2 or 3 weeks we're all right, but I'm on my own, so it's a little bit weird now. Gets a little bit, but yeah, I'm lucky. I've got all I need. You know what I mean? And I've got my workspace, so I've got my studio, so I can make as much art as I want to do and write as much music as I want to do. And so yeah, I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Just trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel now, innit? I think.
I agree, man.
Yeah.
I think from what I've been sort of saying to people, I pose the question, is it pause or is it reset? And I think if it's pause, I don't think we've really grasped the gravity of what we're going through. Whereas if it's
Mm.
reset, then I do think that there's a lot of things how society has been that should fundamentally change when lockdown's lifted.
Definitely. I think it's given, a lot of people the opportunity to reflect and have a bit of time to themselves and kind of realize what we're all grateful for and all that kind of thing. So it's important, I think, just to kind of try and reflect as much as possible, really, and trying to realize who are the most important in our lives and all that kind of thing. So yeah, trying to have a positive spin on it is the most important way, I think, to go about it.
Definitely, definitely. I can see you've got an easel in background. I only knew the word easel about 3 weeks ago. Like, I was like, what is this word? I was like, what is this? Easel? Easel? I was like,
Easy.
oh, is that what that is? I didn't know what it
Yeah.
was. Well, I can see one in background.
Yeah, just a big wooden block to hang your work on. So, but yeah, man. So I'm just
It's
got
a
my
cool
brushes at the
word.
back.
It's a proper cool word.
Yeah, man, it's great. Yeah, I'm loving it. I've been doing it about 4 or 5 years now. Um, and yeah, it's the best thing ever. So I'm really involved in it. It's great.
What made you step into it?
It's a weird one, really. Funnily enough, my academic art route kind of stopped at GCSE level. My GCSE teacher told me to not take it at A level. So
Inspiring the next generation.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I don't think. But it kind of worked well because it led me to a different route to take up music for a while, which was great. Which we'll probably come on to in a bit. But then yeah, after I kind of been in the music game for about 4 or 5 years. I kind of wanted to do something else to kind of take my mind off that sometimes and to find another sort of hobby or creative spark. So then I just started. I went to a life drawing class with a good friend of mine, and then yeah, I fell in love with doing it, but I wasn't able to capture what I wanted. So I just thought, there must be a way to be able to do this. And I'd always drawn as a kid, for fun and stuff. But I'd just never taken up the sort, and I'd never taken it up seriously. I never sort of realised my potential.
Would you
So then I
also
just,
say on the back of that it's not really a thing that's on a syllabus to think it's a career.
Yeah, it's like it never crossed my mind as that when I was at school. I did go down the academic route a little bit in terms of like history and English language. Like I did history at university, and then was doing music on the side. But I think there was always something there that made me want to go back to drawing and painting. Like it was something that took me back to my childhood a little bit, because I used to do it. It's one of my first memories is sitting at like an Etch a Sketch or something and just messing around with that. And it's like, I think if you kind of connect with that inner child, I think, I don't know, it's kind of enlightening in a way. So I just fell in love with it, and then I studied it as much as I could. I bought every book I could on classical painting and classical drawing. I watched as many videos I could online, and then just practiced every single day. Drew from life as much as I could, and then yeah, I went to Florence for about 6 weeks, because my main dream and my main goal was to study there for 3 years. But the cost and yeah, the sort of I wasn't able to do it for that amount of time. But luckily they put a 6-week intense workshop together. And then I just went over there and carried on learning. So,
when you're in Florence and you're at an intense workshop like that, do you get time to actually see the place, or is it strictly invested in obviously developing?
On weekends we did, but I tried my best to be able to study as much as I could while I was there, because I knew I was only there for a short space of time. I thought I've got to make the most of it. I've got to make the most of studying here. So I did. So it was Monday to Friday at the Florence Academy of Art, and we did 9 till 7 every single day, literally drawing from life and painting from life every single day for that amount of time. And then on weekends we could work on his own projects. We also had like a tour around different museums while we were there. Like that was part of the intensive workshop. So we got to see that included into the course,
which is a cool way of merging the two.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, if I'd love to go back again to be able to do the things that I didn't do, and there was plenty that I didn't do. So,
well, especially a place like Florence, which is, you know, steeped in tradition of the arts, you know, from the Renaissance onwards. Like, could you almost tap into that energy when you were there, into that spirit? Did it feel very, very significant to the art?
Definitely, there was an atmosphere there, like without a doubt. And there's all these sort of classical ateliers and studios cropping up all over Florence now, and there's sort of like a resurgence for this kind of painting and this kind of artwork again, to be able to sort of draw from life, which was and do it well as well, and do it realistically, and able to achieve you know, that sort of intense realism. I think like it's definitely becoming popular again now, and it's great. And yeah, without a doubt, like Florence says, you know, you had like Da Vinci like kind of grow up there and everything. So it was, there's the Uffizi Gallery, there's Michelangelo's David, obviously. So they're the giants in it, and yeah, there's so much to learn from going there. So,
do you feel it accelerated your development in that 6 weeks?
Absolutely, just by drawing from life every single day and being forced to do it, and having some amazing tutoring and teachers there who are, you know, at the top level, be able to sort of look over your shoulder all the time and push you onto that next stage. Whereas, you know, I've obviously learned things that I wasn't able to grasp on my own. It's important to have the teachers there just to kind of see the things that you can't see in the beginning stages. And you're learning difficult methods. So yeah, and you're around the students that are studying full time there as well, so they're giving you advice and tips. But it's just down to.
Sorry, go on.
It's just down to experience and drawing from life all the time, and you find your own way and your own path, you know. So.
Did it also reassure you with your own sort of level by being around that, and you know, you're getting advice and tweaking it, but you're also keeping pace with these people who are so devoted to it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I was a bit nervous before going, 'cause I knew I was going to be studying amongst, you know, the best of the best really in this field. But like the reassuring thing was everything that I'd been learning 3-4 years prior to that, like I was able to do quite well while I was there, and it was just kind of going on to that next step. So it gave me loads of confidence. Like as soon as I came back, I had, you know, commissions to work on, and I was working on other projects and meeting up with other artists and painters like around here now. So it's been really good.
So you said it was what, the fine Florence. What was the
Uh,
school of the
the Florence,
place?
Florence Academy of Art. Yeah.
So if it was the Florence Academy of Fine Art, no, if so, Florence Academy of Art, but if it
Hmm.
was the Florence, no, I tried to make an acronym that was going to be far and I failed.
Mate, next time, next time.
See, this is how comedy comes through. Like Florence, I had Florence Art Real Time. That's we'll
Right.
go with
Well,
that. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. But no, so do you feel there's a proper community that's around here then?
I mean, yeah, like over there, there definitely is. I only got a little taste of it by being there for such a like short space of time, but it helped me. Like when I came back, having been there for 6 weeks, I was able to kind of like source out the people that I thought might be interested in it. So I did a
So
couple
you
of
did
little
you
works.
did you sort of look to mould that community then?
I think it was already there. I think I was just trying to become a part of it. I was trying to discover it because I was very new to it, and I am kind of still new to it. So I'm passionate about it. So I wanted to try and first, find the people that are doing it, and then find the people that want to do it as well, and then just try and go from there. So it's very early days for me, but it's good because I'm meeting a lot of people and learning a lot of new things, and it's good. Yeah, it's going really well. I've also done like a couple of short little sort of informal workshops at places like the Tetley and the Art House in Wakefield, which are just like beginners level, but there's definitely a want for that sort of drawing and painting now. So
And then you also did the workshop in the Rivers Art Cafe, is it?
yeah, Rivers Meet in Methley. Yeah, I
That
think
Rivers Meet, sorry, yeah, yeah.
yeah, where you sat for me, didn't you? I think on one of the sessions.
Do you know what, right? So I was speaking with Brander yesterday just by message because he's going to be popping on, being a guest. And
Quality.
we were both on about how therapeutic it is. And it's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy to think that because you got, for me, I know mine and his experiences were quite different, but for myself, I'm sat and there's like 16 people staring at me, like painting and stuff. And like, I'm talking, but I've got to keep me head like still. And the funny
Yeah.
thing is like, I really love awkwardness. Like, I really like, that's where I thrive in awkwardness. So
Yeah.
I was like, this is like another level of awkward. Like this is really like intense awkward. Like because then it'd go quiet and everyone's focusing, and it's like I can't say anything to break the awkwardness here. I've just got to like swim in it. So it was really bizarre, but you could tell that people really took to it. And one thing I really loved is like I love seeing my friends or my peers and people around me when they find a vocation and then they go into like aiding other people with it. I love seeing like your skill and your growth and your levels at it. And I really loved your assuredness. You had like a real gentle authority with it. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't authoritarian because it's not that sort of world, but you were walking around and you were giving good critiquing. And if people had a good like question, you'd be able to respond to it. And it was just really accomplished. And I think when I was sat there, that's what was like the thing that I was noticing in that deeper awkwardness. I was like, I don't want to mess about here. It's his class and he's doing really well. And that was the respect of it.
No, definitely. I think like what was interesting as well was that course that you sat on. I think was one of my first ones, like one of my first workshops. And because I've never like properly been to an art school in terms of like long-term study or had formal training, like I've just developed my own way of interacting with people and the skills that I learn, I like to kind of, give to others as well. So, and it was a really nice group and everyone's there to have fun as well and obviously learn something new. But it's just getting the dynamic right. And, it changes with different groups. Like some groups will be more vocal and energetic than others. And some will be kind of a bit more quieter within themselves, which is fine, both ways. It's just kind of learning what works best for each group. But it's especially from your perspective as well, for sitting for the first time, I can imagine it being quite a surreal experience. But then you get into like a meditative state, don't you? And you just kind of really enjoy it. And it's different when you're working in groups with the model, and then when it's sort of like one-to-one. So when I work with people and paint them from life, it's very different than what it is with the group, because I like to interact with the sitter and have conversations. and learn about them. Like you know, you mentioned James Brander earlier. That was great fun. I think we had about 3 days, about 4 or 5 hours each day. And you know, we were friends and all that before, and we'd meet each other on nights out and all that kind of thing. But after that, like I learned so much about him, and he learned so much about me. And for me, that's the best thing about it. And you look back on that experience, and you come out with a painting on top of it as well. So yeah.
When you have different groups, is there a difficulty in, because it's a complete new set of people that are coming to you, like is there a difficulty in managing that sort of group into levels of expectation that they may have, and obviously how you're wanting to teach it, them embracing that?
I think you know, everybody comes a little bit nervous because they don't know what to expect. But you know, the more I've done, I've been doing these workshops for about 2 years now, so I've gained a lot of experience in how to do it. And I used to sort of, I don't know, adjust my methods like around each group, but then I've learned not to do that now. Like I've got to be a bit more sort of assertive in the method, just so they trust me as well. And we don't go that far. Like we're only working in charcoal, so and chalk. So I'm not teaching super advanced stuff. I'm just teaching and like kind of explaining the absolute basics on where to start, and how I started in terms of drawing from life and the portrait as well. So we talk about like you know, proportions and light and shadow and form and transferring that on, like, you know, trying to achieve that illusion on a 2-dimensional piece of paper, getting that 3-dimensional form, and just different things like that, which are difficult, but yeah, you know, like I say, it's kind of just having a set method for each workshop and making sure I stick to it, and then they have trust in you as well, and then it's. But yeah, the main thing is to have fun with it as well, and like it's quite a therapeutic thing, is drawing from life, and that's what, you know, I want people to get out of it. I want people to go away feeling like they've achieved something, but also like kind of step out of the rest of the world when they're in that 2-hour session. You know what I mean? And just really soak it all up and just draw. So.
Do people give you a reason to why they signed up onto the course? Is there varying reasons? Is it because they're wanting to get better at art? Is it a community element? Is it, you know, do they point out why they've signed up to it?
Yeah, lots of different things. Like each thing you've just mentioned there, like people just want to come and meet new people and have fun. Some people are really serious about it but don't know where to start. Some people are starting for the very first time in terms of, you know, they never have drawn before.
Can that be difficult to gauge when you're teaching, because you've got people at different levels?
Yeah, a little bit, but like I say again, it just comes with experience and not treating anybody differently, and trying to make sure, you know, I give everybody like my equal attention, and yeah, so just being aware of that and what different people's sort of levels are and experiences, but just making sure that, you know, I treat everybody the same and pursue it in the same way.
Do you have to? This is going to be a proper random question, but like, do you have to do any stretching or anything with your arm and your wrist because it's in constant use all the time?
Not really, no. I mean, like in terms of my genuine like fitness and exercise, I'm pretty bad. So I'm not doing enough yoga or stretches while I'm in lockdown, to be honest with you. But I mean, it is. I am stood up all day, so it can be quite a physical. It's not very physically straining at all, but obviously you do need to keep like in good shape and eat healthily, because I just, you know, with anything really, just kind of keep your mind constantly engaged.
I wouldn't know if because you're using it all the time, it gets locked up or anything like that.
Nah, no, I've never had that. I hope not. So, but you know, 10 years, 20 years time.
And then, so can you describe the different ways that there are and the different tools? Because you mentioned there the workshops that you do are more charcoal based, but when you're doing the live drawing, I think that's more oil based as well, isn't it? So which ones are you which ones are you well versed in to be able to do different styles?
With the workshops, it's just charcoal, basically because it's just much easier. And in terms of logistics, like we only have 2.5 hours on a Monday night for 6 weeks. So like to go into to the complexities of oil paint within that time wouldn't be doable. But at home, and when I'm working on my own projects, I try and paint as much as I can. That's purely just because it's what I enjoy the most, and I feel I can, I want to explore as much as I can. But yeah, oil paint and charcoal, and that tends to be based around the sort of classical traditions and traditional ways of painting. So I went back in terms of my own study, and I was looking at 19th century painters like John Singer Sargent, and a lot of the earlier sort of Renaissance painters, like you said, and then Dutch Golden Era like Rembrandt, and getting those sort of ideas together. And then I looked towards a bit of the Impressionists, Monet, Renoir, in terms of colour, and then trying to combine those elements in my own way. It's still very early days, and I'm still trying to figure things out, but I'm just trying to soak up as much as I can, and just try and get as much experience under my belt as I can. Obviously, it's quite difficult at the minute because I can't paint anybody from life because we're in isolation. So.
I saw you put Sky Arts did something that helped you in that respect.
Yeah, if there's anybody listening or who'll be watching later who wants to sort of just have that community feel again in terms of drawing and painting, or just wants to do something for the fun of it, Sky Arts do a virtual painting session every Sunday now. The first one was on Sunday, but it's a 4-hour session with the celebrity sitter. And the sitter is live, and you just draw him or paint him, and they have a professional artist there working as well at the same time, and then you just paint along. So I just set up my television and then just plugged it into my laptop because it's streamed on Facebook on the Sky Arts page, and yeah, just painted along for 4 hours, and it's great because they're having interviews with the presenters that usually do it as well, and Taishan Shivenberg, and kind of giving your tips and advice along the way. So it was fantastic. It helped me out because I was in a bit of a rut for the week, just kind of getting a bit fed up. And then as soon as I did that, it was kind of got that spirit for it again, which is fantastic. And also I'm in another sort of group as well, with a few friends. That we're doing a virtual meetup every 2 weeks and painting along together. So we just try to do as much as we can to keep sane in this sort of time,
You mentioned before some of the inspirations that you went back to. Do you think that also fulfills the allure and the love that you had for history, which I didn't know that you studied at uni? So does that combine the two worlds as well?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I studied history at university at the time because it was strange. I was sort of pushed into it at school because I did okay in it. It was not necessarily a massive love of mine, but it was an interest. But obviously, the main passion always came back to painting. I remember until I found painting, I was going to do a master's in social history, which the social side of history is what kind of interested me. When I was at university, my dissertation was on the teddy boys and 50s and 60s subculture and all that kind of thing. So from a social perspective, yeah, it is definitely an interest. I haven't explored it yet in terms of combining history and painting, but it definitely helps in my own research. The sort of skills that I picked up from studying history, I was able to take with me and use and learn from in that way. So.
Which uni did you go to?
York, St John's. So great place, great. Yeah, I lived there for 3 years, and it was amazing place to live and be. So I'd definitely go back there. Maybe when I'm older, I might retire there if I can get a little painting shack or something like that.
That'd be cool, a painting and coffee shop.
Perfect, mate. That's a dream. The best combination.
So when did the music sort of come about then?
When I was about 18, I joined a band with my brother and a few friends, Jack, Tom at the time, and then Nathan, and then now a guy called Mitch has joined the band. So again, I never studied music. I never did music sort of formally, but it was another passion. So I just pursued it and did a lot of songwriting. did a few gigs and we did all right, and then put that on hold a couple of years ago, and then now I've been in isolation. I've written more songs in the past month than I have in 2 years, so it's exciting. So like, yeah, I've got some plans going forward. So yeah, I'm pretty buzzing with the songs that we're writing at the minute, and the ideas that we're getting together. So it's just nice to have that refreshing feeling with it. And I think going to painting and going to art just helps me take the pressure off the music a little bit, and just kind of I bounce between the two all the time. Like I'll have my guitar next to me while I'm painting, and if I'm getting tired of painting, I'll just pick up my guitar and just try and have a play along rather than it being sort of structured and pressured. And it keeps me in a creative flow all the time as well. Like I constantly feel in that flow, which I kind of struggled to get into, I think, when I was a bit younger.
One thing I really admire about you, and one thing that's definitely coming through this conversation, is you are a true artist. Like, I mean that in a sense of you don't let anything get in your way as an obstacle. So with the music, for example, it felt like it wasn't really in the domain that you wanted it to be. I remember you did like a farewell tour at the Brudenell, and you're almost ready to not walk away from it from a sense of the love and you'd still play, but almost like leave the band on hold almost, because you wanted to step into this art world. And it's like, you're not doing anything for the adulation, you're doing it because you want to develop yourself specifically to get better at the things that you've invested your time in and love. And I really love now that, because the art is sort of not leading, but it's the one that you're leading with, that now music's starting to come through, and you'll probably see your best material made from it, because it's not that as you say, the hook of the pressure of when are we going to tour, are we in studio every now and again, and there's other bands that are doing so and so, and why aren't we? And like all the adverse pressures that really take you out of your state. With you being such a true artist, because you've removed that, I think the music will have a real semblance to that.
Definitely. Like it's like, in terms of pressure, it's all, it feels like that weight's gone, now. And I think it's hard when you're a bit younger, because like, there are pressures there, especially with social media. You feel like you've got to be doing something all the time, and like creativity doesn't necessarily work like that, I find, and you can't force things. And like, I felt like things were rushed at certain times, and now it's great, because I feel like I've got all the time in the world, and I can just really like focus on, the music that we all want to write as a band, without kind of having to please anybody else, without having to run up against any release dates, without having to worry about money too much, because we're just trying to do things on our own at this time. Like, we're not going out forking money out on PR or press, or other avenues like that. We've just gone back to the very basics of it all. Like when we were younger and starting again, like it just feels really fresh. Just getting into a room and writing songs is what it's all about. Like, and yeah, all those sort of things that come with it have seemed to have sort of disappeared for a little bit, which is really invigorating, I suppose.
You can see behind me there's a couple of brothers there who are in a quite successful band. What's it like being in a band with you, bro?
He's an absolute nightmare, to be honest. Nah, he's great. Like, you just have to kind of realise sometimes he's a much better guitarist than I am, and I just have to kind of accept that, like, rather than wanting the guitar solos or anything like that. And he's just got to accept that I'm a better singer than he is. So, yeah, you learn your roles, don't you? But like, in terms of we get on really well, to be honest. Like, we don't. I mean, we bicker for the sake of it sometimes, but only because like we're passionate about things. I mean, probably the rest of the band will tell you otherwise, and probably get wound up by us kind of just bickering now and again. But it's nothing drastic, like, and it's never been that much of an issue.
You've had a solid base of your band now for a while, haven't you? Like, I know you just said you've added another person, but other than that, it's pretty much been the same lineup, hasn't it? Pretty
much, yeah. I mean, it's like it's been me, Mitch, and Jack have been the main sort of like body of it, and then Nathan joined around 2013, and they stuck with us till then, and then Mitch, the drummer, joined about 2015, 16, something like that. but yeah, it's not been a lot of members, you know, jumping in and out. We've tried to keep it quite solid because we're such good friends as well. And I think that was the thing when it came to putting a little cap on it. We didn't want to kind of like break it up and end it because we felt like there was still something there to do. But it was just nice to kind of we found that we weren't necessarily being friends though. You know, at the time we were kind of like it was started getting on top of us. So we thought, you know, let's just leave the band for a little bit and get back to being friends again, and then pick it up in a couple of years' time. So,
was there a proper conversation when that was apparent? It's like, you know what? Because obviously the friendship's the first fundamental, important base of anything really. Beyond if the band wasn't to come back, just for you to still be civil with one another and be friends is obviously of highest importance. So, was the fractions that were happening and it were like, you know what, like, I think we should just take ice? Like, do you remember that conversation, and were it a difficult one that you all had to have?
Yeah, I mean, it just built up over time. Like, it was like over a period of like 6 or 7 months, like rehearsals became like a chore. Like, we didn't want to go to rehearsal anymore on a Tuesday night. It just became really like draining because we weren't kind of getting on. But so yeah, it built up to that, and we just kind of realised that, yeah, you know, if you're gonna stay as friends, which is the most important thing, like we need to leave this to one side for a little bit because it's kind of getting in the way a little bit. But then now, like, you know, like I said, 2 years aside and then back to it again, and it's like starting again.
Did you all feel that void? Did you all feel the void of missing the music? Because obviously you're still around one another, but you're not in the band essentially.
Yeah, like at first it felt nice just to step out of it all, like and get out of his heads a little bit and just have a bit of a breather. Because like for 7 or 8 years we were constantly at it, you know, trying to do something. So it was really nice just to step out of that for a little bit. And then yeah, it kind of felt like a weight off his shoulders, like and then we didn't do anything for a few months. But then you start getting that itch again. You start seeing different bands performing live, and you're seeing some of your favourite bands performing live, and like now I'm desperate, like I'm more than ever to get back to it, but it's so frustrating because it's impossible to, obviously because we're in isolation. So but like now I realise, you know, how much we all miss it. So yeah, we'll definitely be getting back into it as soon as we possibly can. Probably we're open for around October time, but obviously that might change depending on what happens with the rest of this quarantine and stuff. But as soon as we can, like we'll be back. So.
Do you remember preparing for that farewell gig?
It was a bit of a blur. I think like we had a mixture of songs because we'd done songs that we'd released with the opera comic, and also a few that we released with Carnivals that we felt also fit into the set. So it was like, you know, there's a couple of tracks here that we enjoy playing. So just because we did them under a different name, you know, why we'll just play them anyway. It was kind of a sad thing because I've met a lot of my friends like through playing gigs and just all the time like meeting new people. So to have everybody there in a room like that, you know, was yeah, it was quite sad, but also nice that people like kind of cared a little bit as well. But you know, everybody was always kind of really supportive throughout the whole time. So yeah, it was just kind of like. But again, once we did it, it went really well. So it was a nice release, and it went well. And it didn't feel like a complete end either. Like we knew in the backs of his minds like we're going to be doing it again at some point, whether it's like a couple of years or 5 years or whatever. We'll be doing it again. So yeah, I think we're almost ready. But
under what name will you be performing? Are you still going to be opera comic, or are you changing it up again?
We don't know. Yeah, I mean we're writing and recording, and then we're going to decide what kind of vein they fit under, whether they'll fit under anything we've done in the past or whether we need to create something new. That's the beauty that we've found in just getting into a room together and writing without any like umbrella there to put it underneath. Because it doesn't shape the songs in any way. Like it just comes naturally. It's a lot more authentic. And we're not trying to fit a certain sound or a certain image or a certain genre or anything. We're just writing, you know, what comes authentically and as naturally as possible. And I feel like that's where the best songs come from.
Well. I respect that as well, because it feels like you've all been through it all together. You're still the same collective, but you've also grown together through it. So the music you're creating now will still have some like some remnants of what you was making before, because you all know how each other play, but in the inspiration of music that you've heard over that time and the free nature of it, it'll be cool to see if after this you bring any of the previous songs back, or if it is just a clean slice.
I think like in the new stuff we've been writing, there's definitely a combination of the two elements there in terms of the two bands that we had, like the sonics of the opera comic are there, and maybe the sort of like more upbeat, optimistic songs of Carnivals are kind of there. So it's combining the two in that sense. And even some, like you said, some of the old songs we've started to revamp a little bit as well, which has been fun. Not trying to suck the energy and life out of them, but just because we've become better as you know, as musicians, just kind of making the songs better. But we've got like a great repertoire of tracks now, I think. That I think I'm happy with, but like the problem with me is like I'll write a song, love it, and then a couple of weeks later like despise it. So it's kind of like a bit of a battle sometimes.
And I suppose the final few from me then are: would you like to discuss the project that you were on with before lockdown, and you know, the interest in that you have, the one with what you did with Brander and what I was fortunately looking to be a part of in that?
I know. You was going to be sitting for me next month, weren't you? In May.
Yeah, we rearranged it, so I think like 12th of May or something.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I was just getting started with it. You know, I was telling you about the ideas. I was really excited, but yeah, I was ready to sort of like get an exhibition together and a selection of paintings of people, because I've been involved in like sort of like the creative like industry for so long. Like, I've met so many amazing sort of like artists, musicians, like poets, actors, writers, and I just wanted to kind of get a collection of that and like make a celebration of that. So I started off with James Bond, obviously, like an incredible singer, an amazing voice, and yeah, I started to reach out to different sort of creatives and independent artists and stuff like that, and then I reached out to you, and we're hopefully going to get to be able to do it after all this. But yeah, I'm hoping to get as many as I can, maybe 20, 30 paintings together, and put on an exhibition somewhere in Leeds at some point. But that's sort of like a bit of a distant sort of dream at the minute, but we'll see.
Is that something that you always wanted to look to do, was reach to the exhibition side of it?
Yeah, because it's something that I haven't done yet, and I need to do it. Just, you know, I'm posting a lot of my work on Instagram and online and stuff, which is fantastic because like there's a great community there and everybody gets to see your work as well. But you know, you see in the work like tiny, whereas it's, you know, it's 30, 40-inch pieces of work, and people need to be able to see that sort of scale as well, and sort of see things in you know, from life. So just to be able to sort of, and also be able to sort of determine my own style and voice and vision as well. In terms of painting, I think putting an exhibition and a collection of works together, I'll be able to sort of get a theme together and be able to sort of create something that works together rather than individual pieces of work. I'd like to create, you know, a collection of works that all work as a full piece.
As a cohesive sort of story.
Yeah, definitely. That's what excites me, you know, creating something like that.
Is it hard to jump from one painting to another, or does that give you a bit of freedom as well and autonomy over if you sort of feeling a bit done on one and you've been looking at it for so long, you want to freshen it up, or do you like to finish one and then go to another piece?
I feel like I used to be in the mindset where it's like I'm started one piece, I need to finish it before I do anything else. But I felt that was quite like restrictive in a way, because like recently I worked on a painting of one of my friends, and she sat for me from life for a couple of days before all this, and then about a week ago, I picked the painting back up again and worked on it. Having learned a lot of new skills and been, you know, reading a lot of different techniques, so I was able to sort of improve the piece from that. So I think it kind of just depends what the intentions are with it as well. But yeah, I think also sometimes if you're painting from life, you've only got a short amount of time to be able to get to the end goal. So sometimes I like that freshness and vibrancy there in the paint as well. So I try to capture that energy and consciousness at that time, rather than trying to overwork it too much. It's just kind of getting the balance right, really.
Do you find that with live that you sort of set yourself a window?
Yeah, and it's just kind of becoming a learning game, really, trying to figure out what works for what time. Because I'm, like I say, I'm still fairly new to it, so it's all down to experience. But I'm starting to pick up, I'm starting to get into a flow now, and realizing what works for me in terms of my sort of style and stuff. Like, I like to try and achieve a likeness as much as I can, and try to achieve that sort of realness. But I also like the paint to be really fresh and thick and bright and vibrant. So that's kind of comes with painting in a short amount of time as well, which I'm starting to, gain a lot of experience in. So, and that's what excites me as well, seeing that paint there, like, and seeing that brush mark, like, it has each brush mark, explains something, and there's a reason behind it, and I don't want to kind of get rid of that by kind of overdoing it.
So again, is that something difficult, knowing when to leave it?
Yeah, definitely. Like, and then that comes with just experience sometimes. But I think the time I know when to leave something is when I'm just messing about, going back and forth, like, and making silly mistakes. And kind of that's telling me to kind of just leave it be for a little while.
Where, as a massive SpongeBob fan, one of the greatest quotes came from Squidward, and he says what he loves about a canvas is a paintbrush and a canvas is that at that moment in time he can create anything that comes to him that the universe wishes. People say it's for kids. That's some of the deepest stuff you've ever heard. But is that how it feels? Like the process of just looking at a blank canvas to then creating it. It must be such a majestic, magical like feeling, seeing it, come to fruition and be created.
Oh, definitely. It's exciting, and having that sort of vision in your head, and then seeing that take form is incredible. But it never turns out as you do view it in your own mind, so which is like the most frustrating thing. But yeah, like, it's always an optimistic feeling, an exciting feeling, standing in front of the canvas for the first time, and then having the model there and setting the lighting up, and then setting the kind of playing with fashion a little bit as well, and having fun in that way, seeing what you can create, and just do as much as you can. So
perfect. Would you like to let people... Oh, sorry, go on.
I'm expecting you, mate. Like, it's going to be. I think you said you wanted what was it, like a bottle of Jack Daniels or something in your hand?
Mate, I've got like a proper get up for ours, man. I'm telling you, I'm going to be like Coming to America vibes. I'm going like, because this is something proper regal, like where it's gonna, when I've won my Grammys and that, it's gonna be above like fireplace and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's proper like.
Mate, they'll be bidding for it. They'll be bidding for it everywhere.
Mate, it's sick. I can't, like, when you were like, yeah, you want, I'm going to paint you. I'm like, yeah, like 100%, mate. Like Henry VIII painting or something like that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm going in, me. I'm telling you, I'm getting full on leopard print. I'm going in, bro. Like leopard print and Jack Daniels, and making sure my hair's not this naff at minute, mate. You're not getting that. You're not getting that.
It's bright pink. I remember you had it like intense pink, didn't you, last time?
Yeah, well, that's it. That's how I hook people into doing the chat. I'm like, oh, do you want to be on Loose Lips? And I send you a flyer, and it's got like me all like pink hair and that neon pink. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna look on that. That looks it. Come to me, Bill Murray side bits coming out, man.
Perfect,
like Dr. Bakeman.
Love it. I'm gonna have to invent a new pigment for it. I think a new colour to be able to capture it.
Yeah, the before and after, like start with the pigment, like it were, and then colour it all the pink. But would you like to let people know where they can, if they're interested in joining any of your courses, and likewise if they've got any commissions or out where they can find you?
Yeah. So like most of the information I post up on my Instagram page, so just what it is now, Luke Thompson _art. So in terms of commissions and stuff, or like projects or anything like that, there's my website link on under my bio. In terms of workshops, I'd mostly do them at the Art House in Wakefield and the Tetley in Leeds. So you probably best following their Instagram pages or websites, because they'll always post up all the workshops up there. But I'll post them on mine as well. So
you're a good man. You stay safe and cool, man. And enjoy the painting with your Sky Arts and that, brother. And then once all this is done, I look forward to that bottle of Jack, mate. I'm telling you, it's going to be sick.
It's what's keeping me going, mate, getting through all this, having that as the end goal after this. So look forward to it, pal.
You're a good man. Stay safe and stay cool, yeah?
And you, mate. Take care, man.
Take care, brother. Peace.
All the best. Ta-ra.
You too, man. Oh, say all right to your brother as well. Say all right to
Oh, I will do it. I'll let him know. He'll love that.
I came back just to say that. I was about to cancel. I was like, no, say all right to your brother.
I'll let him know, mate. I'm buzzing.
Respect, man. Peace.
See you in a bit.
Chatting with Luke Thompson there, an amazing artist. Definitely give him a follow. And if you're wanting any commissioned work, definitely reach out to him because he's a definite artist on the ascendancy with his creative gift. If you're new to this is Loose Lips. I'm Ben Random. I chat with a wide range of people from different walks of life, getting them to tell their life story to look to inspire optimism and inspiration through this time. So if you want to see the back catalogue, feel free to go on YouTube and put in Pop Cult Chic and you can see all the interviews that we've done previously. I'll be coming back in 15 minutes to speak with my next guest, Kaylee, who is a actor, singer, and absolute whirlwind of creative energy. So join me at 6 back on my Insta for that chat. Other than that, peace and light to you and yours.